Hey there guys, Mark here. I got something really important to talk to you guys about, but first, let's get this line on the water. So most of my life, I've been hanging outdoors, fishing, camping, all those kind of things. And for many years, up until recently, I've never seen a tick. I haven't seen them in the bush. I haven't seen them in tall grasses and fields that I've played in as a child, and I've never seen them until recently. Maybe in the last 10 years or so, they really started popping up, and more. Unfortunately, with that said, I think we really need to start taking care and being careful about being outdoors and what kind of things we could bump into while we're there. And that's pretty much what I want to talk to you about today. So really, what is a tick? Well, a tick is basically a spider or arachnid that feeds on your blood, somewhat like a parasite. It'll attach to you and start sucking your blood. That's pretty much, in short, what a tick is. They do have 8 legs, just like a spider, 4 on each side, and they can be anywhere from the size of a dot on your arm with your pen, or a small freckle, all the way up to like a piece of barley or a piece of oats once they've been swollen up a little bit, and really, that's what a tick is. There really isn't much to them. I'm sure if you're some kind of scientist, you'd know, but I am not. But I will leave some references for you guys to explore later on in the description if you want to check those out. Now, why should you be worried about ticks? Well, there are many diseases that you can contract from a tick bite. 2 of them are Lyme, that everyone knows about, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, that you can also catch. And the rest of them I'm going to list here because I probably can't pronounce them properly, and I don't want to make a mess of them. But check these guys out right here, and you'll see the different types, or how many different ones there are that you can contract from the bacteria from a Lyme bite. Just want to talk to you quick about some myths, and we can get those out of the way before we start talking about what to do. One of the first myths is the bullseye rash. A lot of people think that if you get bit by a tick and it has Lyme disease, you're going to get that bullseye rash. It turns out, I've seen different numbers for this, but it turns out that it's only like 30% of people that actually get that rash. And a lot of people haven't reported the rash, but actually wound up with Lyme. Myth number 2 would be that deers only carry the deer tick that can give you Lyme disease, and it turns out that's false as well. There are many different animals that carry ticks, so that's any kind of rodent. So we're talking mice, rabbits, moles, voles, anything really, squirrels, chipmunks. All these things can carry Lyme. Raccoons, foxes can carry Lyme as well, and birds, and any kind of bird really can carry it. Ducks, geese, robins, and any kind of bird can carry it. So that's kind of scary because that all of a sudden opens up the range of where you can catch, come in contact with ticks. So number 3, ticks are only in rural areas. Well, if birds can get ticks, they're not just going to jump off the bird because they're leaving the country. If they're flying into the city, these birds can be dropping ticks anywhere in a park, in a field, on a pile of grass at the bus stop, and these ticks can drop off and actually attach to a person standing at the bus stop or a child playing in the park. So that opens up a wide range of where you could find ticks. It may be less possible to find them there, but not impossible. And that's part of the thing I wanted to let you guys know about. So number 4 is no ticks in winter. Now this is a big one for me because I used to believe this one as well. I'd figured that the big cold, all the snow comes in. Me living in Canada and having nothing but snow surrounding me all over the place, that the ticks would be dead and gone, and their eggs would spawn in spring or whatever. And that's what I believed, and it turns out it's false. A couple years ago, I found a rabbit in my backyard that had been killed by some kind of predator, and I went and I scooped it up and checked it out, and sure enough, I found ticks on it, and it was like -20 for like a week. Now, maybe those ticks would have died if they were out onto a tree, maybe, but they definitely survived on that rabbit. So that means that if somehow you came in contact with some kind of animal, or it just hopped off and then hopped onto you, or whatever, it's possible to get ticks in winter. So what kind of areas can you find ticks? Well, you can find them in an area like this. This is basically a city park hit in the middle of my town. I'm right by the water side. You got piles of leaves here, trees, some small shrubs on the side. No deer, but there's lots of geese and all kinds of other birds that hang out in this area, along with the odd otter and some and mice and all kinds of things like that. So there's possible you can find them here. You can find them in cities. You can find them in the woods. You can find them in grassy fields. You can find them, in short, anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in the city or the parks or the rural areas or the deep woods. They're everywhere. They can be found everywhere. So I know this does sound kind of bleak. What do? Do you have to stay inside the house all the time and not do anything? That's not the case. There are a few things you could do to help you out. While you're out in the woods or in a field or wherever you are, you may want to tuck your socks into your pants. So if a tick does attach to your shoe, for example, walking in the field, it's not going to climb up on the inside of your pants and attach to your body. You can do the same thing with your shirt. Tuck your shirt into your pants in case one attaches to you from a low-lying bush. They are going to climb up until they reach some skin, so cover yourself with that. Another good option would be to use some kind of insect repellent, like DEET, anything with DEET in it, or if you're in the southern United States or in the United States, you could use permethrin and soak your clothes in it, let it dry, and then use it like that. Unfortunately, this product is a banned substance in Canada. It can be bought, but not at your local store, so we can't buy that here yet, but hopefully they'll change that law. And another thing you can do too for prevention is when you're camping, try to stay out of pile of leaves and lying down on the ground and whatnot. Stay off the ground, and that goes for your gear as well. I had a tick attached to me a while back because I got to a location and I dropped my backpack on the ground and made a fire, had some lunch, put the backpack on, and a tick had climbed onto my pack, and as I was walking, this tick let go of my pack, grabbed on, walked into my shirt, and climbed up in my shirt that was untucked and ended up getting me. And the reason why I know it was on my backpack, because when I got home, I took my backpack off into the garage. My son threw my clothes into my washer and dryer right away to wash them and to kill any ticks that may or may not be on my clothes. And sure enough, a tick was attached to my back, and he saw it, and we pulled it off right away, and all was good. Now, what should you do if you do have a tick on you? Well, I'm going to show you a few things that I carry with me on a day-to-day basis. When I'm out in the field or out camping or walking in the woods where there may be more concentration of ticks, I carry a few things. So I'm going to show them to you real quick. Give me a second. Another preventative measure you can do to keep ticks from transferring from you to your car, from your car to your home, or whatever, is carry one of these. I know it looks simple. It's a simple lint roller, but whenever you're out into the woods and you're gonna get from the woods to your car, and you're still wearing all those clothes, give yourself a good roll down and check all over your body, and all the little ticks that are attached to there will be stuck to this sticky paper. You could take that, remove it, and discard it as you wish. I prefer the bird little jerks and get rid of them, and make sure that they don't escape and attach anywhere. So that may reduce the number of ticks that will wind up on your clothes and in your car. Once I get home, first thing I do is take off all my clothes that I was wearing that day. I throw them into the washing machine, and I do a quick body check for ticks. Now, what do you do if you have a tick on you? Well, if they've gone past your roller and they've gone past your insect repellent, you'll want to have a first aid kit handy that's prepared to handle any kind of these ticks. So I'm going to open mine up and show you what I got going on. So we have a basic first aid kit here. Nothing really fancy or special in it, except for a couple of things. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get rid of the tick that's attached to you, and you want to get it off as fast as possible. So if you have it, there's some people that will say, you can put grease on them and they'll end up detaching and all this stuff. No, don't wait for that. Get it off you right away. So I used to keep a regular pair of tweezers inside, but the ends of them aren't precise enough to get down as low as possible to the skin. Now, if I can give you a quick look at this, hopefully this will zoom in properly. With this, whoops, there we are. With this one, it'll get right down to the skin, right down. See that? Hopefully this is coming in clear enough. So even if you have a small tick on you, you can get right down, grab them by the head, and pull straight up until they let go. And you just keep pulling until they come off. And that's the way to get rid of them. Unfortunately, I don't have a tick fortunately, I don't have a tick attached to me where I could show you how to do this, but this is your best option. A good pair of fine tip tweezers like this one. Really, really fine. And if you want to get something off you get down as close to your skin as possible. You grab them by the head, and then you good firm pressure, and then you lift up until he lets go. No twisting, none of that stuff. Pinch, pull straight up until they pop off, and that's it. If anyone's curious about the one that I have here, this is one from a company called Tick Ease, and I quite like it. It works well, and it's not one of those cheapy pair of tweezers that come in these first aid kits where the edges aren't precise enough to really get down as close as possible to the skin to grab and remove the tick from the head. First thing you're going to want to do is remove the tick and put it into a little plastic baggie and save it. And I'll tell you why after. Clean area with a Loris pad or an alcohol swab, and then I go that extra mile with a little bit of antibacterial ointment to help clean up and soak into the skin in case there's anything there. That's what I do. Maybe it's not necessary, maybe it is, but that's how I treat any kind of insect bite, especially from ticks. So why keep the tick in a baggie? Many people who have contract Lyme disease can go get tested many times over, and sometimes it comes up negative every time, and they don't it doesn't pick up the bacteria for whatever reason. I have read that it is actually easier to find the Borrelia, I think it's Borrelia bacteria, the one that causes Lyme disease, inside the tick than it is inside of a human being. So that said, if you do end up getting a tick attached to you, you may want to take this little critter inside of a plastic bag, take it to your doctor, and have him tell him to test it. A lot in Canada, they don't it gets misdiagnosed. But if you're able to take that tick and send it off to a lab and have it tested, they may actually be able to discover it, the Lyme in the tick, and then you can start your treatment and make sure that everything's going to be okay. Now, a lot of times people will contract Lyme disease and not even know when they've been bit by a tick, because they can be so small in the nymph stage, and you don't really feel them walking on you even as adults. If you start feeling one of the many, listen to your body. If you start feeling any kind of weird symptoms, that's your body telling you a message. If you are an outdoorsy person and you spend a lot of time in the woods or in fields or in areas playing with your kids and outside, you never know. Go to a doctor and demand to be tested. Say, hey, I spend a lot of time outdoors, and I may have come in contact with ticks, and I think I may have been bitten, and they'll test you. You may have to argue with them, but they'll do it. And if you're all of a sudden getting these weird symptoms and you have no idea why, and they can't seem to find anything for you, ask to be tested for Lyme. Don't wait, just do it. And one other issue I wanted to address, because migrating birds, fly up from south and come up north, quite often there ends up being ticks that are non-native to our area here. One, for instance, is a Lone Star tick. It's not something that was found in Canada, really. Now, due to whatever reason, some say global warming, some say other things, but a a lot of these ticks seem to be coming here and come off on a goose or whatever it is, or robins or whatever migrating birds, and bring these ticks to our area. And some people are getting bit by this Lone Star tick, for instance, and getting these weird symptoms like meat allergies and things like that. That's actually caused by this tick. So there's many different things that could be going on, and other illnesses that may arrive here from these ticks that are being imported in by our good Canadian goose. Thanks, buddy, for the hard work, but it would be nice if you got rid of those little critters before you arrive back in Canada. But it is what it is. So if all of a sudden you're eating that gorgeous steak that you've loved for many years, and all of a sudden it's making you sick, you might want to go ahead and get tested. So just keep in mind, guys, I think now's going to be the time where a lot of us are going to be knowing somebody or hearing about people actually coming down with Lyme. So if I was, this doesn't mean you should not go outside anymore or not enjoy yourself. Just be more conscious that these things are out there, and protect yourself from them. Following simple steps, we'll go over them again. Tucking your socks into your pants, or your pants into your socks, your shirt into your pants. Get an insect repellent on you, and wash your clothes immediately when you get inside, and try to keep your gear and your body off the ground, and you'll significantly reduce your chances of contracting Lyme, and or any of the many other diseases that can come from these little critters. And if you start feeling any strange symptoms, and there's so many symptoms. I think there was like 100 symptoms you can catch from these things. If you can find a way to, if your body starts feeling weird, and you start getting flu-like symptoms out of nowhere, and you haven't known anybody to be sick, and you get different things like joint pains, or all kinds of things just pop out of nowhere, well, you may have actually contracted Lyme, and you should go get tested. Demand to be tested, even if your doctor says no way. And one last thing, find yourself a Lyme competent doctor. There's too many of them out there that aren't up to speed on the dangers of Lyme, or the actual facts about the disease itself, because Lyme is a pretty new disease up in Canada. So you may want to see if you can find yourself a good Lyme doctor, and they can help you get through the right path, and hopefully get you treated if you do have something. So, I just want to give a quick thanks to April. Thank you very much for helping me out with those few questions that I had for you about Lyme, and she also sent me a resource for you guys to look into. It's right down in the description down here. It's called canlyme.com. Check those guys out. There's a lot of information on there that'll clear up a lot of your questions if you have any on Lyme disease, and I think it'll get you guys started on a nice healthy path where you can enjoy the outdoors, not have to worry. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm gonna get back to fishing. You guys take care. I'm Mark from Adventure Time Outdoors.